hate you, and I'll be filing for divorce as soon as I possibly can. I'm not coming home this weekend. I'm going to be away. I will come back Sunday to get my stuff for next week.
We have to discuss the problems on Monday. You said you would be here to help me. You said you'd be here to help me with the kids.
I hate you, Catherine. I hate you. I regret every minute of my life the fact that I met you.
I normally don't start my content off by saying this, but I want to forewarn you that this is a heartbreaking video. This story is tough. I'm having a hard time even filming this, as I have attempted quite a few different times, and I want to be not emotional when I discuss these matters at hand. So I welcome you to the Alan Kassenof files. You may or may have not heard of this guy, but it started off on TikTok in the last few weeks and went absolutely viral. Who is this man, you're asking? Well, let's start off by saying that he is vitally evil. This man should not have custody of his children, and I hope that by making this video, we can bring awareness to this man, what he has done, what he continues to do, and for the loss of his wife. We'll get into that later. You see, Alan is a lawyer. Not just any reputable lawyer, but for a firm that's very, very brutal in nature. Alan and his wife, Kathleen, were married. They had 3 children, 3 girls. Alan, out of the blue, wanted a divorce. Divorces can be hard on kids. It's just a matter of fact. Kids blame themselves. But Alan, well, you see, he likes to blame his kids for everything. He likes to be a conceited, selfish pile of shit. His wife, Catherine, started documenting everything before and during the divorce. And the videos that you're about to see, there is no justifying it. There is no 2 sides to every story. While there is always 2 sides, this is not one of those situations. This man, Alan, is a chronic, narcissistic, selfish, abusive man. And he has caused irrevocable damage to his 3 children. And we're going to be diving into the video documentation, which isn't even all of it that I'm going to be showing today, of who Alan is, how he behaves, and why, at the start of this video, I said this man does not deserve to have custody of his children. This next video that you're about to watch is Catherine, who had just had surgery. Surgery from breast cancer. Okay. Now, I don't know if you know about cancer, or when you have any sort of cancer of that matter, you have to go through certain medical treatments known as chemotherapy. And chemotherapy can make you, poisons you, but removes that cancer. You're fatigued, your hair falls out, among many, many, many other things. Cancer is a hard fight. And it's a fight that Catherine won.
Take your daughter.
I'm not taking her. I'm not taking her. She's spoiled, and I'm not taking her. She will be punished by not going today.
You're her
She's
parent,
I'm not
and you
taking
need to
her.
take her to school.
No, I'm not.
I cannot do it. I'm
Then
in
she
bed.
won't go.
I'm lying in bed. I can't do it.
get
I
her
can't
out of
drive.
bed.
You take her to school, please.
Get her out of bed, and I'll take her.
Stop talking in
Get
that
her out of
horrible
bed.
way to her.
Get her out of bed.
No.
She's spoiled.
You.
And I'm not dealing with her anymore. I will no longer take her to activities over the weekend. I will no longer do nice things for her. She will be treated the way everyone else gets treated.
and you need to. That was.
I'm going to leave in about 1 minute because she's.
You need to
her.
take your daughter to school.
I'm not taking her.
She needs to get to school, and if you don't go
Not
to
by
school, I'm
me.
going to write a
Mommy,
letter. I cannot get her to school. I'm lying in bed.
There's
I'm
something wrong with her.
post-surgery.
There's something wrong with her where she won't get up. There's something wrong with her. Charlie, if I have to keep...
She's in the
I'll take
room.
away.
My
Charlie,
children
I'm gonna
are in
take
the
away-
room
I'm
as
gonna
you
take
say
aw-
these
I'm going
things.
to take away the next thing from you. Let me go figure out what it is.
Oh.
And I'm hiding them so no one's taking them to give them back to you.
You're scaring her.
I already know where they are, Charlie.
Are they all in the same place?
Yes.
Good.
Mommy. In one of Daddy's closets.
High up?
I can get it from that high.
Charlie, can you please try to get out of bed?
I don't want to go with
I
that
understand.
crazy guy! I am not ever going with him.
I can't take you to school, Charlotte.
I know, can I really just skip him because I'm never going with him? I
can't take you, honey.
I don't want to go with him.
Allie, that's my legs.
Sorry.
I took away your piggy bank. Next thing I'm gonna do is call Grandma and Grandpa and tell them not to give you birthday presents for the next year. It's too late for this year because I
Allie,
gave you
those are my
something.
legs.
Next
Can you
year you
find
will
another
not get a
place,
birthday
please?
present from Grandma and Grandpa. I'm going to wait in my room, and if anyone wants to get you ready for
You
work,
need
school,
to be nice and take her to school.
I'm not taking her. I told you that.
I will no longer do nice things for her, he proclaims. She's spoiled, he yells. Let me ask you something, Alan. When has education ever been linked to being spoiled? Is taking your kid that much of a hard thing to do that you can't value their education? Well, here's what I think. I think that if you're the type of parent who's going to refuse to take your kid to school, that you are neglectful and you don't care about the well-being of a child, much less your own biological child. Education is a chance. It's a privilege to be able even to have an education. Right? And here we have him yelling about how spoiled she is and how he's never going to be nice to her. You know, marriage is a partnership. It's teamwork. It's two people conjoined together, working together. And even if you have your differences and maybe you want to go through divorce, that doesn't mean that you completely just stop investing in the lives of your children. But if this is how it's done, this is what you call investing, well, your kids are going to have one skewed view of the world when they grow up in their future relationships because of you, Alan. Because of how you treat your wife. Children absorb this every day.
Where is that spoiled kid?
She's not going with you.
Open the god. Shut up, Allie! Get over there, Allie!
No.
It's not any of your business. Get over there.
Allie, let me in. Get out, Charlie. Go, Charlie and JoJo.
What is wrong with you? You're not involved in this.
I don't care. She's my sister.
My God, you're so mentally deranged with people.
Allie, can we jump on your bed? That's my shirt.
Yeah, I know.
Allie, can we jump on your bed? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Want to play violin? No, don't.
You know what? I'm gonna play this game. I'm calling Allianz Francaise and saying you're not listening, and that's why you're not going.
Really? I will call and I will make sure they know the truth, Alan. I have
I'm
videos.
going to annoy him.
And I'll send it to them.
Shirley, I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry I yelled at you. I'm so.
Charlie, listen. Charlie, he's offering you an apology.
You
Charlie.
guys mind your own business?
She's our sister.
Stop it!
She's our sister. Allie, can I keep this?
So silly. Next time you have a problem with your cabinet, your bookcase, speak to someone else.
It's not about loyalty. It's
Next
about...
time you want to move your bed, speak to
Oh.
someone else.
I don't care.
You're threatening her for standing up for her sister?
Sister.
You're threatening her?
Punishing you, letting you
Why don't you call her in here?
Get out of the room.
Give me my phone!
Enough of your goddamn.
Striking fear into the hearts of your daughters. Not only is that cowardly, but no civilized, normal human being who has any sort of decency treats children this way, speaks to a child this way, scares a child this way. You, Alan, are supposed to lead by example.
Yeah, they will come. They will come.
I'm leaving.
Take your daughter, go in there and say you're sorry. Say you're sorry.
No! No!
Say you're sorry.
No!
Stop it!
Just
Stop, Allie!
do not talk to Allie like that.
He left.
After Catherine beat cancer once, it came back. More aggressive, harder than before, all the while dealing with this divorce, this abuse. But unlike the previous diagnosis, this cancer diagnosis was terminal. And for those of you who are unaware, terminal means that there is no fix. Terminal means that you are going to pass away. Terminal is the worst of all cancers, no matter what it is. So what do you think Alan did during this time of his wife struggling with terminal cancer? It only increased and made matters even worse. You see, because he was a lawyer, He thought it would be best to abuse the court system in a way which would bar her from seeing her own children. He would file frivolous filings again and again and again and again, no contact orders, restraining orders in their own home. Some of them went through, barring her from being able to live in her own house while struggling with cancer. This is not an exaggeration. I am not making this up. This is factual and it's documented. He made up lies in the court, making accusations completely false that she was abusing the children. And all she was trying to do was love them and protect them from Alan. And if there's one thing you can come away from this video, is that this just goes to show that the legal system, if you know how to toy with it, is fundamentally broken.
Let's try to calm him down. Alan, I have to go to my doctor now.
I'm leaving.
I need to.
What, you don't? I don't care. That's what you don't understand. I
You
don't
need to
care.
calm down.
I'm leaving.
Bye.
I am leaving.
Bye,
I'm
Alan.
not dealing with these kids anymore. That's what you don't get.
You're not dealing with these kids anymore? They're your children. I have violin practice to do with Charlotte.
I don't care, you fat loser.
What'd you call me?
A fat loser.
One more time.
A
Look at
fat, old loser who I hate.
Say it again. Keep going.
Now, despite there being video documentation of this sort of treatment, Alan managed to make up false accusations and actually get her arrested in 2022, just this last year. Unreal. Not only are the children in this environment absorbing how their father is treating their mother, the level of degradingness that he is displaying here, calling her these types of names in front of their children, only suits to create further dysfunction and chaos for these children later in their lives in their own adult relationships. Because children see by example. Now, one high point in this story is that despite him getting her arrested and making up lies about her, they went to court. And she proved without a shadow of a doubt that these were lies, and everything, it was revoked. The restraining order, the no contact, everything was revoked, dismissed. Because the judge, the court, saw through what Alan was doing to harm these children, despite her being arrested in the first place, which shouldn't have happened. Alan Kassenof is a monster. The judges who granted him custody are monsters as well.
So tell me what happened. And you knocked over an entire table? I just don't believe you. The lies in this house.
Daddy, she wasn't doing cartwheels.
How do you know?
Because I was in there.
You said what happened.
I walked in there, walked out. I heard no noise. Charlie normally
I
makes
heard
stomping
noise from downstairs.
Because she fell over.
I don't believe you guys. You guys lie so much.
Where's Charlie? Mom. We're recording this. It's recording, okay?
A human being doesn't trip and knock over a table like that. So I want to know the truth of what happened. Okay. You know what? I'm calling Grandma and Grandpa. I'm telling them I'm coming to their house for the rest. Shut up. Talk to me ever again.
Just be nice to
Shut
them.
up.
They won't go with you like this.
Then they're not going to school.
You need to calm down.
Shut up!
You can't talk like this to them.
Shut up!
I can't leave them here with you. You're in.
There is no rationalizing with a man who gets angry at children for doing a cartwheel and tripping. Did you hear that? You always lie over a cartwheel. He's angry over a child doing a cartwheel and hitting or bumping the table. That's the type of delusion that we're dealing with Alan.
Charlie to soccer.
Joey, moron.
I'm taking Joey to skating.
You don't know how to lace her skates. They always complain.
Nobody
They always complain.
complains.
Can you put on pants? It's disgusting. Can you put on pants?
I'm not disgusting. I'm walking in my house. Are you taking Charlie to soccer? Yes or no? Yes or
Can you
no?
please put on pants? I find it disgusting when you walk around in your underwear.
Alan, this is my home,
Okay,
and
then
I'm
I'll
getting
post this
changed
on
as fast
YouTube.
as I can.
I'll post it on YouTube.
You'll do what? You're gonna post me on YouTube?
If you think this is appropriate for... I'm not your husband. I have no relationship
You're not
to
my
you.
husband?
No, we're getting a
Who
divorce.
are you?
I live in a separate room as you. Every time I go in there to help JoJo change, you start flipping out. I'm changing. So I'd appreciate it if you could put on clothing.
I'm not sure what the problem is. I'm standing here in my pajamas.
No, you're wearing underpants.
I'm not sure what the problem is. You're gonna post me on YouTube?
Maybe.
I'm gonna send this one over.
They're going to grow up in their future thinking that this type of treatment, this type of degrading speech is normal. And when they get into their own relationship with a guy or girl later in life, they're going to have such a low standard of what they're looking for because they're going to think that that type of treatment's normal. They're not going to know what value that they have as a person because their father instilled in them that they're not valuable, that they're not worthy of love, that they're not worthy of care, they're not worthy of a father doing the minuscule of parental duties that's his job to do. Now, you may be asking yourself, why did this even happen? Well, she wanted to invest more into the lives of her children. She didn't want to continue being an attorney, so she revoked her hours and started focusing on the lives of children more, and Alan didn't like that. On May 27, 2003, Catherine did a Facebook post and attached a Google Drive Dropbox link of every affidavit, of all the restraining orders, of all the thousands of emails, pretty much documenting the entire 4-year divorce period, much of which included almost all of which was Alan lying, degrading and abusing his children. And it just so happens that in this note, she further clarified that it is with a profound heartbreak and hope that none of you ever experienced that I'm writing you my last post ever. Today, I will be ending my own life. I will be doing so in a dignified and idyllic setting in Europe. There are simply no other options left. I need to remind you that, remember, she had a terminal cancer. Incurable. The worst of the worst. You can't survive terminal. In the last 4 years of my life, I have woken up to every day with a nightmare like no other. I can no longer endure the abuse and the terror of Alan Kassenof, who has spent the last 4 years mercilessly trying to incarcerate me on false charges as recently of March 2023. I have also endured the emotional devastation of being without my children for so long, homeless from my Alan's repeated ex parte evictions of me from the homes I own and rented, and deprivation of my property and obliteration of my life savings, the loss of my 2 dogs, and the loss of my career and reputation, and the humiliation and ostracism from all this. Perhaps if I had the physical endurance to keep going, I would. But with a new terminal health issue that will soon severely limiting my physical strength as well, and have no protection from the courts, I cannot keep running from Alan. I was recently diagnosed with a virulent and life-ending cancer, and after having breast cancer twice in my life already, I cannot go through the debilitating chemo surgeries and radiation again. This time with a dire prognosis, and with Alan fighting me, quote, until he dies, and no court intervention whatsoever. Those were his exact words to me in an email he sent March 19, 2023. See Dropbox links below. So please understand why I do not share this news today. If Alan had known about my health issues, he surely would have tried that much harder to end my own existence. As many of you know, on January 26, 2022, I was falsely arrested on serial reports made by Alan Kassenof on October 21, 2021, December 21, 2021, and then January 25, 2022. After I proclaimed my innocence and fought these allegations, I won. On March 16, 2022, all of his bogus charges were dropped on me and his bogus ex parte orders of protection were vacated. His claims for contempt seeking my incarceration were also dismissed with prejudice. But history has shown that Alan will never stop until I am gone. As recently as March 18, 2023, Alan again tried to have me arrested. On that day, while I was watching our 9-year-old daughter skate, he got off the ice and came at me. I told him to get away from me. 4 times he wouldn't, and instead he taunted me. He then reported me to the police, claiming falsely that I had a restraining order when he didn't, and then when I had every right to see my daughter skate. I captured this confrontation of me on video, which I'm also posting in the Dropbox, along with the 911 call and the police report in which he falsely told the police I was capable of, quote, killing him or my own children. Based on this false 911 call he initiated, police officers came to the ring. Alan stood in the background with our daughter, laughing and pointing at me while I was being questioned, waiting to see if I would be taken away in cuffs. See the photo. Fortunately, I wasn't arrested. The police realized he was lying. But this is how I have been living for years. Like a hunted animal, worried about when Alan will make his next false report. He sees all this as a game and the courts have not stopped him. They too are even scared of him, or maybe they just don't care. While they handed out our ex parte TOPs against me like candy, on his say, they would not even enter a TOP against him after 2 days of testimony from the police and the ring manager that he lied in order to procure my false arrest. Again, for a long time, I believed I could make my children's lives better by fighting to stay in them, even if it was just for moments at a time. As time went on, the in-betweens of those moments became interminable and unbearable. I would long for the girls to try to think of all the things they might need, even when I was held in such distance that I did not even know what those things might be. I imagined who their friends were, where they went, who they spent time with, what their dreams were. I was revoked for being their mother. I could not tuck them into bed at night, take them to school, host their sleepovers, make them breakfast, or take them on vacations. Alan wouldn't allow any of that. The court gave him everything he wanted. I often shook from the pain of it. In recent weeks, I came to realize that my presence in their lives only brings them pain and suffering. That is because they must answer to a father who does not view me as human. He erased every element of their being that had anything to do with me. French, Christianity, tennis. They have learned to identify with him in order to survive. So they now declare how they, quote, hate Christmas, and they call me Kathleen instead of Mom. In the end, they must reject me for him. I can see the pain on their little faces when they have to manage the unspeakable conflict that my oldest seems so strong enough to manage and to fight through to see me. It is a look that has haunted me for this long time. I don't want to see it anymore. I just want their and my pain to end. Their father has spent years and millions of dollars, over $3 million, to eliminate me from our girls' lives. He has liquidated savings to do so. He will never relent. He will spend their life savings. He will demonize me to them mercilessly, and as he has made them suffer, even if they just want to see me. They have been diagnosed with depression and worse. As long as I am alive, I want to see them. They will be damaged over and over again with every attempt I make. What is the point of that? The last thing I want to do is make my own children suffer. Even in death, Alan Kassenof will never stop. After I'm gone, he will falsely tell everybody that I am, quote, mentally ill, that I'm a criminal and a liar. But I am none of these things, and I have proven it. I don't have a criminal past. I'm a former federal prosecutor and special counsel to the governor of New York. I showed them undeniable abuse he perpetrated on numerous videos, showing that I didn't lie about that, and that I have testimony and reports of various doctors to prove my mental health. See the link. Indeed, under Swiss law, a person wishing to end their life can only do so after meeting a very high bar and being found competent to not suffer any mental impairments. The Swiss doctor and my therapist, Dr. Anna Filivo, an MD, and Dr. Stephanie Brandt confirm this. Also see the Dropbox links. Alan's need to convince others otherwise comes from his shame about the truth that he was a domestic abuser. By trying to cast me in these negative ways, he thinks that he can clear his name. He cannot. The videos, the audios, and the other materials will only follow him forever. You will find a police testimony about his abuse, medical records of his abuse, affidavits about his abuse, and more in the link. Shame on Greenberg Terrig, who knew all of this and did nothing to stand up for the rights of a domestic abuse survivor like me and my daughters. My girls deserve so much more than a life that they were given by a father in the court system that was supposed to and miserably failed to protect me and them. The court system favors the moneyed party, and if that party happens to be an angry litigator, God help that other parent. I was a good, loving mom who sacrificed my own career trajectory to have my children, whom I finally conceived after many years of fertility treatments. I did not abuse alcohol, children, or drugs. I've never had so much of a brush with the law until Alan tried to have me arrested. I put my kids before everything in life. I did not lose my entire life to a fair and just process. I exposed both a corrupt forensic evaluator named Mark Abrams and a corrupt attorney for the children, Carol Most, both of whom were removed in disgrace from my case. But the system did not fix what it broke after that came to light. It turned my custody battle into a money-making churn. Alan filed his divorce action in May of 2019. Until just recently, there was no final trial scheduled in this case. To use the misery of families so that various court personnel involved can get rich. Dr. Adler, whose Psych D somehow qualified her to charge $600 an hour to reprogram, quote, the girls. Dr. Mifgafog, who charged $450 an hour so that the father could sit in my daughter's sessions, and who told my daughter she had to pick between me or the mom. Dr. Abrams, who made over $40,000 to testify for the father and was removed from the panel of forensic custody evaluators in disgrace, and Carol Most, who just billed a staggering $270,000 after being removed from the case for gross ethical misconduct. I hope in death I will accomplish what I could not in life. I hope our legislators, judges, media, and others take notice of the price I am paying today and the horrors of the family court and how the court destroys families in order to profit. I hope the public will view and stand up and say, quote, no more. Your children deserve better, and so did mine. My primary contact is Wayne Baker. Should you have anything to share with him, who has all my documents from the divorce case. Please don't let my demise be in vain. Reach out to him and organize yourselves and use the facts of my case, and don't let our children grow up to re-experience this trauma as adults. All of my materials in support of what I write are above and available in this link, which I urge you to share everywhere before Alan finds a way to shut his Facebook page. Please don't let the world or my children forget the real Alan, who is in dozens of videos I have posted here on Facebook. Please preserve them for my children, and they are ready to remember and learn the truth about him. Please stand up against abusers like this who enjoy tormenting others. For the sake of my children and the mothers who live through this terror of domestic abuse, I ask that you please keep telling my story so the truth was known far and wide. Finally, a special thank you to those in my life who always put my children first and supported me unfailingly. My mother, Jennifer, Carrie, Chris, Stephanie, Jonathan, Wayne, Kathleen, Liz, Lizzie, Brian, Rory, Doyle, and our wonderful lawyers, Andy and Evan. Kathleen Kassenof. Now, just to solidify this a little bit more, if anyone watching this video maybe is doubtful that Alan Kassenof is not abusive, another incident that happened, which you didn't even mention, is the death of Catherine's dog. You see, on Monday, July 25th, 2022, at exactly 3:13 p.m., Alan Kassenof sent Catherine an email CC'd with the lawyer, telling Catherine that their dog is not doing well and is barely able to move, that the dog was struggling with breathing, and that he has to euthanize the dog, other words, put the dog down, and that if she would like to say goodbye, she can stop by and say goodbye to her dog. That this is her animal, not his, but hers. And if you notice something, that email was sent at 3:13, and he gives her this ultimatum of, well, you need to be here by 4:45 p.m. or else you're going to miss your dog being put down. Alan had her phone number. Why wouldn't you just text your ex-partner or call them on the phone and tell them about this urgency? Why would you send an email? And it just so happens that Kathleen didn't get this email until the dog was already put down. She further elaborated on this with a Facebook post where she says, I'll let you decide what to call this behavior. The last week, the dog who I'd been begging to see was suddenly put to sleep by the father. She was my dog of 14 years. At 3:13 on July 25th, I was sent an email below telling me I had until 4:45 to show up and say goodbye to my dog. I didn't get the email on time. Despite having been at the vet for hours before, Alan Kassenof put my dog down without much of a phone call to me or offer for me to take her. She didn't have cancer. She wasn't terminally ill. She was just old and incontinent. He had let her lose 12 pounds in a year, refused the medical workup suggested, and hadn't brought her to the vet in almost a year year and a half. The worst part of what Alan Kassenof told my kids. When today I presented them with a urn of Yo-Yo's ashes, one said, "Why do you care? You were invited to say goodbye and you didn't even show up." I asked who on earth would tell them such a false thing, and I was told Daddy said he invited you, but he didn't even show up. He misled my kids in the most monstrous way. Oh yeah, and the note to the CC to his lawyer, even the death of our dog requires a, quote, hired gun's input on how to spin. Rest in peace, Yo-Yo. Absolutely terrible, but you know what's more terrible? You see, Alan Kassenof is the type of man to send and take a photo, a selfie, of her euthanized dog. Is this photo that you're looking at right now, is that a normal photo that somebody takes with a euthanized pet? I don't know, most people would be like drenched in tears, not looking like a psychopath. Why would you take a selfie with your wife's deceased animal like that? It is weird. This is not normal. This man is not normal. But if that still doesn't convince you, recently leaked audio posted by AlanKassenoffFacts.com, I believe it is, which is, by the way, I find it very strange when websites appear out of no place. I don't know if you guys remember when Onision made Facts.com. It was like this website, right, dedicated specifically to facts about Onision, in which he tried to like refute certain claims about him when there's documented video evidence and videos of him literally saying the things that he denies ever saying or doing. Very weird. Anyway, this is similar to that. I get the vibe of Alan Kassenof's website recently posted this leaked audio. I listened to all of it. And, well, all it really does is showcase that this man is, in fact, abusive. But more so than that, that there are documents posted of police reports explaining, and the police actually siding with Catherine on his abuse towards her, emotionally and physically.
You grab me! You can't grab a woman! You can't do anything!
Catherine, I didn't push you. I didn't grab you.
I was in the closet and you came over. You were on the floor.
I was trying to help you into bed.
How about how my head feels right now? How about my dizziness?
That's why I'm saying to lie down. That's why I'm saying to lie down.
And my bone got cracked on my neck.
I know.
And my fingernail. And my toenail.
I know. Lie down.
I can't hear in my ears. I don't know what's going on. I'm very dizzy. I can't hear
That's
out of my
why you
ears.
need to lie down.
I can't hear out of my ears.
Well, do you want to go to the doctor now?
No, it's very weird. How about my dizziness?
That's why I'm saying to lie down. That's why I'm saying to lie down.
And my bone got cracked on my neck.
I know.
And my fingernail. And my
Lie
toenail.
down. I know. Lie down. The pump.
I would have breastfeed the baby.
And once you...
You're right.
You're right.
You have no tact.
You're right.
Diplomacy.
You're right. And
None.
I'll work on all those things. Not for
You
you,
don't know how
because
to,
we're
because
done.
you don't
But
even
for
know
myself.
what it is. You lie.
Okay, I
You
lied.
say weird
I lied.
things, and you pretend to
lied.
apologize, and then you
No,
don't. You're messing
I'm
me up
lying.
completely.
I'm lying. Okay,
It's
I'm lying.
maddening.
I lied. Okay, I'm lying. Everything I did, you're right.
Why would you lie?
I don't know, because I'm a liar.
Come in here.
You're right. Just stop.
Because I
Please.
lost the ability to do it.
Just stop.
I lost it.
Please, Catherine, I'm begging you. Please stop. Just lie down.
You do me so.
What will help you?
Undoing the damage
I can't do
that
that.
we've done.
So all I can do is help.
Undoing the years of damage
Well,
that we've done.
What do you guys think of that audio? She describes her head. There's clearly something like dizziness, fatigue, all this stuff. It could be postpartum depression. But in the audio, if you caught it, she talks about how he was physical with her. Now, this is backed up by police records of his physicality with her. You're not going to convince me that this man is not a psychopath and does not and hadn't or was abusing his wife. Linked down below in the description of this video is an article, and in that article there is a direct URL to the Dropbox link with all of the legal documentation that she posted over this 4-year custody battle. I'm just going to take a very brief skim over just one or two select things because it's really important that I mention this, which also reaffirms what she was saying in her posts in regards to the corrupt legal system. You see, the custody evaluator in court cases like this, judges typically always go with the recommendation that the custody evaluator gives. And it just so happens that the custody evaluator, Dr. Abrams, has quite a interesting past if you do a little bit of digging on who he is as a practitioner. A lot of negative reviews, even before this went viral. But it should be noted is that he has had multiple women come forward on gross misconduct in regards to asking inappropriate sexual questions to women in regards to these custody issues, asking about their sex life and their intimacy and what sex positions that they prefer. Totally a normal thing for somebody who is trying to determine custody evaluation for children to want to know personal, intimate details that serve nothing with the case. These are also provided linked down below, so this is questionable at most. But more than that is that Dr. Abrams and Mr. Judge Lubel are very, very close friends. Maybe a conflict of interest here, or maybe not. I mean, these are such close friends, the judge and the custody evaluator, that the judge officiated Dr. Abrams' wedding. Fascinating realization, this. That totally wouldn't provide an issue of bias and conflict of interest in the courts when you have a judge who's best friends with the custody evaluator, and that the therapist was also intertwined, and they were all very closely best friends. It was revealed that Dr. Abrams was paid over $30,000 by Alan Kassenof himself in a total of over $3 million for a custody battle that he ultimately won by paying these people off. And there's evidence of this in the documents provided down below in the description. Catherine managed to showcase the courts this, and Dr. Abrams was cut out of the case. Combined with the judge who was overseeing all this and making these terrible decisions and siding with Alan on everything, regardless of, and not even looking at the evidence that she submitted, was rescinded because he was going to get kicked off the bar of judges at the panel. I don't know how it works legally, but he did something he shouldn't have done in the courts. The worst part of all is that all three of these people were paid off with an astronomical amount of money to destroy a woman's life as she was already fighting with terminal cancer. There are financial documents linked down below in the description, all posted in that Dropbox links in the article. Everybody needs to know about Alan Kassenof, that he specifically got this therapist to deprogram, and it's in the documents, deprogram them about the relationship that the children had with their mother, which was far stronger than that with Alan for the obvious reasons. Alan then tried to convince the courts that Catherine had an unspecified mental disorder in which she was tested for multiple different things, BPD, narcissist disorder, all these things, and she was found out to be mentally healthy, and she had no personality or disorder of any kind. Catherine was found to not have any sort of psychiatric or mental disorders that Alan was claiming all along. Alan wanted to convince the courts that it was Catherine who was the abuser. She was not. Also in these court documents, it can be found that Alan argued that Catherine was gaslighting and emotionally abusing him in regards to trying to convince the children that Alan was abusive towards them and that Alan is a domestic abuser. He is trying to flip the side of the coin in an issue where the one who is abusing is actually the abuser is far more common than people realize. In my own personal experience, when people typically do horrendous things and they're caught for it, more often than not, they will try to then accuse you, the person who did not do these things, of doing what they did. I personally have experienced this. Kathleen has experienced this, and I'm sure many of you guys watching this video have experienced something similar. Call it projection, I don't know. But for future reference, if someone's constantly accusing you of something, it just may be so that they're actually what they're accusing you of. Just food for thought. When Dr. Abrams found out that Catherine had these videos and that it was evidence of Alan actually being abusive, he filed an ex parte order, which for those of you who don't know, basically it's an emergency order where one party gets to present their side and not the other, where a decision is made and the other party really has no chance to even defend themselves or even respond to anything. But you have to understand as a viewer is that when you go to any court things, every party has their own individual right to have constitutional rights to defend themselves and respond to whatever the other party is saying. So it's a back and forth. Ex partes kind of void that. Dr. Abrams was not pleased when these videos were recorded by Catherine because it highlighted his client in a way which wasn't favorable. I should also quickly mention there's also PDF link down below, and you can read through some of Dr. Abrams' now removed Facebook account, where he really likes to talk about women not being able to vote, referring to any woman who is remotely conservative as prostitutes and whores, and even posting a photo of sometimes things are better in silence, where a woman's place is simply to give head. All these posts are on this PDF because the account no longer exists for the obvious reasons, because this stuff went viral. And of course, when things go viral, people start getting exposed. And when people start getting exposed, they go on the run. Then, on June 11th, the firm has concluded and has reviewed the situation, determines Alan Kassenof's status with the firm. Our primary obligation is to maintain and protect the core values and best interests of our firm, our clients, our lawyers, and our professional staff. Alan has been on short leave of absence and now has resigned from the firm effective immediately. The firm is sensitive to the needs of the 3 children. Bullshit. The primary victims of the situation. Bullshit. And therefore, we'll be creating a dedicated trust fund with independent trustees for the sole benefit of these children to be voluntarily funded by the lawyers and our staff of our firm. We wish healing and privacy to the children during this very difficult situation. So because of the public outcry and because of this going viral, he resigned from his firm. So yeah, that's all. It's a lot. It's horrific. I know there's going to be some people in the comment section who are going to be probably a little maybe annoyed or angry. I don't know. They're going to say things, and I'm just preemptively responding to this. Hey, she's selfish for, going through euthanasia. And my response to you is that you're wrong. It is not selfish to go through assisted suicide, also known as euthanasia, which is a death with dignity act, which my state and several other places around the world practice. This is specifically designed to help people not suffer pain. In the same way that we put animals down when they are hurt or they're dying of cancer or they can no longer go to the bathroom and eat food or whatever an animal is dealing with, we do the same thing with humans, death with dignity. And it's a perfectly respectable aspect of passing away because you're already going to be suffering from a terminal cancer that is incurable, unfixable. And nobody wants a loved one suffering. Nobody wants to suffer through what cancer can do to the body, especially when it's terminal and there's no winning. If there's no winning, you and I have a choice to go to pass away into the afterlife or whatever life there is after death, the way we choose that is appropriate for us. So please, respect her passing because that was her way out from suffering. And nobody deserves to suffer, whether it be health-wise or legally, because of a corrupt legal system and people being paid off by money. Alan Kassenof, you're a monster. And someday, karma is going to hit you harder than it ever has before. Special thank you to anybody who watched this video all the way through. It's very much appreciated. I'd like to mention that I have a Kick, K-I-C-K. It is kick.com/Repzion. It is linked down below in the description. The URL is right here. Right now, I am streaming almost 3 to 4 times a week on kick.com. This is Twitch's newest competitor, and so far they're absolutely slamming Twitch down and they're raising in popularity. The website is improving. It's still in beta right now, but I've been live streaming on there, having a hell of a lot of fun interacting with my viewers, and I would like to push you guys to go over to my Kick and please follow my Kick channel. Kick.com/Repzion. I stream 3 to 4 times a week, up to 4 to 5 hours at a time. And right now we're going through 90 Day Fiancé Season 8, watching it live commentary. You guys are able to interact with me. It's been so much fun. I've been enjoying myself. And it allows me to have a socialization aspect online that I really haven't had before because I upload a video, people comment, but I don't really interact that often. So if you want to interact with me, if you want to talk with me, if you want to ask me questions, anything, right, and just laugh together, check out my Kick. I promise you it will be worth it. It's entertainment. It's fun. Click the link down below and have a great rest of your June.